although the Nigerian military knew about that, and one of their responsibilities is to help the people of those regions evacuate that area if they want to escape.
So far, the government has printed 1.1 billion of the new $100 bills, but almost 30% of them are unusable. The unusable bills are worth $110 billion and cost $120 million to make. In layman's terms, without using SDRs and currency baskets here, if I am an average American sitting on my couch, no, I just want you to break it down for me. Should I be freaking out that everyone's talking about ditching the dollar? I mean, how is this going to affect me?
Ruben Antonio Baltazar has been lost and disoriented for 3 days looking for his pregnant wife.
I feel helpless, like I can't do anything. I want to know how she is. I want her to come back so we can return home.
So how did Baltazar get here? Well, his story is like the stories of thousands of people here in Nogales, Mexico. They have been left in this border town after being deported from the United States.
I tried to cross the border illegally in the United States with my wife. We walked for a long time. We walked for 2 days and 2 nights.
And sometimes while illegally crossing a border, family members can get lost.
I was with my wife and she began to feel sick. She's 3 months pregnant and she began to feel sick. Our friends went ahead of us and I left my wife behind to go find help.
But the help Baltazar found ended up being Border Patrol, who then arrested, detained, and deported him back to Mexico. He has now enlisted the help of Father Donald Bollinger. The Jesuit priest has set up a haven for deported Mexicans that is known throughout town as El Comedor, or the dining room.
They're really going through a traumatic experience. Being rejected and being round up and like cattle, and somebody was mentioning to me today, it's like the Nazis did in Germany, rounding up people and sending them to the concentration camps.
Through word of mouth, hundreds of Mexicans visit Father Bollinger every day, looking for things as simple as food, water, or someone to talk to.
Buses full of deported Mexicans come into Nogales every day. Many of them are from parts of Mexico that are thousands of miles away. Hundreds are left here daily to find food, shelter, and make a plan of what to do next.
Some of these migrants never completely made it across, but others spent decades in the U.S. building lives and families that they eventually had to leave behind.
My thoughts are that the United States broke me. I lost my family. I lost my children. What can I do?
Padre, Hijo y Espíritu Santo.
Every evening, Father Bollinger says a prayer to give these people hope and strength to go on.
Amen. And that's one of the things that we talk about, try to reflect on, is of the human dignity, that every person has a value.
It's a truth many like Ruben Antonio Baltazar need to be reminded of in order to rebuild their lives.
I just want to know about my wife, that she's doing okay. I want her to come back so we can return home.
A second chance at a life they risked everything to run away from. Priya Sridhar, RT, Nogales, Mexico.
Buenas tardes.
Priya, it's an interesting side of the story that you don't usually see. So, tell me about what these guys are facing when they end up in Nogales.
Well, Lauren, like I mentioned in the story, a lot of them are from parts of Mexico that are thousands of miles away. Now, there are many deportation sites along the border, the U.S.-Mexico border. It's 2,000 miles long, and ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, as I know you've been talking a lot about today, doesn't ask these people, hey, where are you from? Let me drop you in a deportation site that's convenient to you. They just put you on a bus and you end up somewhere, and a lot of these people speak indigenous languages or certain dialects where they can't even communicate with other people in Nogales. So they're literally dropped in Nogales, trying to figure out exactly where they are, have trouble communicating with people. Also, I should mention that they have lots of very serious injuries when they get caught in the process of illegally trying to cross. 87 people since October, Lauren, have died trying to cross over into the United States. Many of the people they see that get deported have blisters on their feet, very serious bodily injuries. They end up having to get hospitalized and things like that. So you're not only dealing with people who are traumatized, unaware of where they are, they also have physical injuries that people on the other side have to deal with. And like I also mentioned, it's not just people who get caught in the process of illegally crossing. Many of them had spent decades in the United States and actually build lives and families here in this country. So they're also traumatized and are suddenly facing the reality that all of their loved ones are thousands of miles away from them in a country that they've just been basically booted from.
Just a few miles outside of the capital of the United States is a community.
It is such a nice place.
A typical upper middle class American neighborhood.
Everybody's lucky to live in Arlington.
A wealthy suburb where the power players of the nation's capital have some great expectations for their kids.
The expectations for students and, children, teenagers, whatever it may be, that come from Arlington are a lot higher. People do what it takes to reach those goals that are set for them.
Jack Labadie is a 21-year-old art student.
I'm an artist. I use it when I paint or when I need to get things done. It definitely helps me.
And to meet those high demands, Jack and his friends use a prescription pill called Adderall.
One of my friends gave me an Adderall, and, it turned me from, lackadaisical just to, on speed, basically, on pharmaceutical meth. I was all over the place.
Adderall is a psychostimulant prescription drug designed for people with attention deficit disorder. But these days, it's become all the rage on college campuses across the country.
It's like drinking 6 black coffees, just chugging them, and just being completely wired.
So what's the point of this powerful little pill?
When you got tests and huge 35-page papers that need to be done in 3 days, pop one and get it done.
Some studies show that up to 15% of college students are taking Adderall, some with prescriptions, but many without.
I get them from friends. I usually don't have to pay for them. If I do, it's $2 or $3, so it's not a problem.
And while it might not be a problem to get their hands on the pills, it is illegal without a prescription. But they say that the purpose for popping the pill makes it okay.
It motivates me. It gets me on task. Gets me to set my priorities and one by one fulfill them.
Many students on college campuses across America don't think it's a big deal to pop a few pills to get their work done. But some are starting to wonder if their generation has become too unmotivated to be productive without the help of prescription drugs.
When do we hit that age when we're like, all right, it's time to stop playing around and, not have to take drugs to do my laundry?
And critics of the phenomenon say that Americans should be worried about kids getting hooked.
When they feel like they can't survive without it, particularly when it wasn't prescribed for you, if you don't have a medical need for it, and then you find that you can't organize your life and can't get along without it, that's a very dangerous warning sign.
But for now, these guys say Adderall helps them get things done.
A lot of kids these days are just, everything just comes too easy, too plainly, and they don't have any incentive or motivation even just to get up and mow the lawn, let alone do homework or different tasks throughout the day.
A little dose of motivation to live up to high demands. Priya Sridhar, RT, Arlington, Virginia. It's the sound Americans love to hear. The sound of the latest laptop or the newest netbook. Studies show that these days the useful lifespan of a computer is only 2 years. And every day, Americans dump their junk in the hope of keeping up with the Joneses, tallying up to a total of 3 million tons of electronic waste every year. But where does it all go? Welcome to Seelampur, a predominantly Muslim, mostly poverty-stricken area of East Delhi, where thousands of Indians come to turn trash into what they see as a tiny treasure.
My work is collecting these electronic scraps and dismantling them. That's how I make my living.
Muhammad Azam is 32 years old and has been tearing apart this trash for 10 years.
In a day, we get goods worth rupees 400 to 500.
Split between friends, Azam can sell the raw materials and make about $1 a day. Unlike regular trash that can simply be tossed away, in many developed countries, including parts of the U.S., electronic waste must be sent to a special collection agency that is supposed to responsibly recycle the parts. However, while it can cost these agencies anywhere from $15 to $30 to properly recycle a computer, they can actually make the same amount if they ship it to a developing country like India, where eager buyers think they can turn a profit on the goods. Delhi is fast becoming one of the biggest e-waste dumping sites in the world. Trash from developed countries comes here to India, where those with few options for survival hope to cash in on this junk. And even though it's illegal under the Basel Convention to ship hazardous material to India, companies define the junk as secondhand goods or mixed metals to customs officials to get away with it.
Many countries feel that they need the second-hand computers because they feel it's low way of putting computerization in the country. But what they get in exchange for that is really junk.
Ravi Agarwal is the director of Toxics Link, a group dedicated to protecting migrant workers from the dangers of electronic waste.
In Delhi, workers hammering away, putting strong acids, exposing themselves to fume, all kinds of occupational hazards.
It's a reality most of these workers know all too well. But for them, it's a dirty job that, at least for now, gives them a means to survive.
I know what I do is not good for my health, but I have no other source of income. No other job, so I have to do something or the other.
A horror that those with no choices are sometimes forced to accept. Priya Sridhar, RT, New Delhi, India.